What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to Self Check. I am the Alan Harris, and with me, as always, are my brothers, 3EBM Nick, Recovery Ray, Ryco Fit, and LVO Vic. And this is episode 14. Let's check in.
All right, fellas, last week we had a conversation about emotions, and we spent some time talking about how through observing our story and being more aware of where we've come from, we can actually add some clarity to the emotions that we feel on a consistent basis. We also talked a little bit about how we can respond differently to those emotions, and that will determine who we become as a result of what we feel. So, that's something that I'm consistently paying attention to in my own life, so it hit the nail on the head for me. I spent a lot of time over the last week just paying closer attention to what I am feeling and doing something that Nick mentioned a few episodes back, just listening more, just being more aware of what's going on in my mind and listening to the people that I interact with so that I just notice emotions more often, because I feel like the more I notice what I'm feeling and what others may be feeling, the more effectively I can respond in a way to actually contribute to life instead of potentially adding suffering to the people that I interact with and myself. So that's how I have been implementing what we talked about last week.
Dope. So lately, my big thing has just been more gratitude. With that being one of the keys, I know I mentioned it last week, that's been something that I've been focusing on big as far as being that all day, and I've realized how much or how little I actually do that. Like, it's easy to say, like, I have gratitude for these things, but it was how long do I do that throughout my day? And I realize there's so many times in my day to where I'm just like, don't feel like doing this, or I'm just not grateful that I get to do something. And it's just becoming more aware of that has been the big thing I've been working on.
So I know last week we kind of got into different practices we use to kind of release those emotions and things like that. And today, for me, a perfect example of that was realizing that I wasn't okay and that I had things going on inside my head that I really just needed to release because they weren't going anywhere. So I grabbed my journal and just started writing, free flowing based off of whatever was coming from my subconscious. And, that helped me to feel a lot better with that. And something I like to do when I do write that, because like I said, when I'm in the process of writing, I'm not really thinking of like what I'm actually putting down. And then when I go back and reflect, it actually ends up helping me and guiding me in times where I get lost, so it kind of helps me release and also allows me to kind of go back and reflect on my emotions as well.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, gratitude, like you were stating, I've been expressing a lot more gratitude and I'm a lot more aware of my emotions as well too. The one place I'm really focusing on that is at work, because as you guys all know, I really dislike where I'm at. But one of my coworkers, so I switched it up this week, decided to come in with a way better attitude, decided to be way more conscious of my emotions. And a coworker had said it to me, and she was like, "Oh, so you back to yourself now, huh? Like you ain't faking now, huh?" And I really, like, sarcastically, but for real, had apologized, and I did it in a sarcastic ass way, like, "Hey man, I need to treat y'all a lot better." Like, I was like, "Hey, I gotta treat y'all a lot better. I realized that. I do apologize. Like, what I'm saying, I was going through some stuff that week." And as I was doing that and being more mindful of that, the dynamic started changing in the office. You know what I'm saying? Like, I started interacting with people a lot more. Even my calls were going a lot better. Like, people were like, "Man, thank you." Like, even the frustrated people, I was giving them so much positive energy because that's where I was coming from with it. And in being so aware of that, I started to then get frustrated at my coworkers because they started talking about the mask stuff. Like, I was like, "Wear your mask over your nose." And I'm just like, man, come on. Like, I'm just going to my desk. And so I got back into a mode today, and I had to check myself. And I was like, are you really about to be upset about a mask? Like, is that what you're really upset about? And I had to find the root of it. And the root of it was just, I have a problem with people telling me what to do. Like, I have a problem with authority. Like, that's just it. I have a problem with authority. And so I had to get with myself on that. And so when I digressed my emotions, I was like, okay, cool. There's no reason to be mad at this. And so what that helped me do was figure out another way. So now I'm about to get a doctor's note that said I got anxiety for my face mask. You know what I'm saying? So, but that helped me go through a thought process to really figure out, okay, you're in an environment where you can't really change the rules. So how do you bend the rule without you getting frustrated? Because you can't change this right now. And man, my mood has been a lot better. My coworkers love talking to me again, and I'm having a way better time at work. As much as I dislike it, it's a lot more enjoyable. But I did have to pay attention to my emotions and how I was responding, to the point, I really sincerely apologize to people. It was like, you know, I was in my feelings, and you guys had to get affected by this, and I do apologize. So, you know, it's been dope. It's been dope.
Cool. That's dope. What's going on, everybody? I didn't talk to y'all too much last week. Dealing with some other emotions. But yeah, I'm an emotional person. You know what I'm saying? I'll just start out with that. I'm a very emotional person. So I tend to, with certain things, I'll tend to lash out, and I have to catch myself. Like, more now I've been catching myself versus in the past, like I just move off impulse. Like, hey, that's just how I'm feeling. So yeah, I'm about to fix it. And however I feel like I'm gonna fix it. Sometimes I still do that, which I'm working on it. But I will kind of go and revert back. Like y'all know, I always talk about work. Even outside of work, just in like personal relationships, just how I respond to things. Like if I feel like it might have rubbed me the wrong way. Like, I mean, again, I'm gonna approach the situation. Like I am never a person that shies from confrontation. Bring it, because I won't be the one sitting feeling some type of way because I just didn't ask or say what, you know what I'm saying? Like I have to express, or I have to like bend that just to. It gotta clear my head, because I don't, you know what I'm saying? I just have to. I mean, that's just one of those things. Like, I mean, I guess that's an emotion, or it's a feeling, or whatever you want to call it, but just learning how to mask them for me is and I don't even want to necessarily say mask, how to work through them properly without being an asshole. I would say every individual needs to learn to do that. I mean, it's okay to be emotional too. Men, it's okay to be emotional. I feel like once we start to mask and hide those emotions, that's when things start to spiral in a different way. So just I would say, without me stretching all the way back into that conversation of emotion, figure out your way how to be emotional and cope with your things in a proper way. If that means you need to cope by yourself for a minute and tell people, hey, don't talk to me for a moment. Let me gather my thoughts and get my mind right, and that's what you do. But figure out a way. I mean, it's always a way. Sure.
All right, so today on Self-Check, we are talking about self-care. That is a topic that I've spent a lot of my personal time focusing on over the years. One of the biggest reasons is because a long time ago I recognized that in order for me to fill anyone else's cup and for me to actually contribute to life, my cup must first be full. So that's what self-care does for me. Self-care, it fills my cup so that I can be the best me for anyone else that I come in contact with. So today I wanted us to have a conversation about what self-care means to us, what our definition of self-care is, and some of the ways that we take care of ourselves. So I'm glad to start. My definition of self-care is literally just intentionally spending time with myself, and that intention being looking to nourish my mind and body. So looking to support me maintaining optimal mental, physical, and emotional health. That is, for me, the most important thing that I can do for me, because in order for me to accomplish the things I want to accomplish and be the person I want to be, I have to be here, and I would rather be healthy if I am here. So that's kind of my approach to self-care, and I am definitely interested. I know self-care is different for everyone, so I'm interested in hearing what you all's definition is, and then going on to talking a little bit more about how you practice self-care. So, the floor is open.
I mean, mine is literally the same as yours. So it's intentionally spending time with myself, and that's what I do every single day. Like, I give myself a minimum of 6 hours with myself, no matter what. Like, it doesn't matter what I have going on, I'll skip the gym. It makes me zero difference whatsoever. Which I get you would say, the gym would be a place where you're doing something fun with yourself, but I the way I look at life and my journey has been so much influenced by outside things that right now, the place that I'm in, I spend a lot of time with just me to come up with my own ideas, my own thoughts, my own things. If I really want to work out that bad, I'll do it in my room where I'm at. But taking that time to be with me so that when I do start going back out and being around people and doing things like that, I can be the best version of myself in that moment because I already took the time to get me where I wanted to be.
That makes sense.
Man, you know, to be honest, I'm just now really discovering what self-love is and like what exactly that looks like for me, because for so many years I spent so much time putting into other people and prioritizing others over myself, you know, and over time it just led to me just completely draining myself to the point that I just, you know, broke. And then it's like at that point, that was like when I had to take a deep look inside, and I'm like, okay, obviously we need to be going about this a different way. So that's when I started realizing that, okay, I don't always need to be around people. Sometimes it's okay, well, a lot of the times it's all right to give yourself time, you know, to want to be alone so you can be in your own space, gathering your own thoughts and doing whatever it is you want to do without having to worry about anybody else, you know. And that's something for so long that I wasn't giving to myself until now, you know, and that's really just been something that's been an uptrending thing in my life, whether it's, you know, pouring myself with knowledge or, you know, going to get massages or like whatever it may be, you know, it's just giving to Ryan and prioritizing Ryan over anything else. So,
Interesting. I would say similar. I'm just now understanding what self-love is too, because I would always try to fill those empty spaces, like you said, with people. You know, I would always try, like if I'm by myself and I'm bored, I'm hitting somebody up, hey bro, what you trying to do? Hey, y'all trying to go here and here? But what I'm starting to realize is I have enough activities in my life that there's the interactions right there. So the spaces that I don't have those activities, it's time to take care of myself. You know what I'm saying? So some of the type of things that I would do before I would do the self-care thing or before I do self-care, I would always take myself out to eat every paycheck. Like today, I'm probably gonna go get some Japanese Steakhouse. That's what I love to do. You know what I'm saying? So like every time I get paid, it makes me feel so good to eat that Japanese Steakhouse, dog, because it's like my favorite thing in the world. I've always been the type to go to the movies by myself. Like I always take myself to the movies. Like always, because you know it's just my time to be with myself. But when I say I always did that, even when I was doing that, I felt selfish though. Like so I didn't really take that into consideration, because when I would tell somebody, they'd be like, what you was do today? I was like, I went to the movies by yourself. You ain't want to tell nobody. Da 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 da. I'm like, oh shit, damn. Like you know what I'm saying? I started feeling guilty, but now that I'm starting to understand self-care and self-love a lot more, like that's what I'm gonna start planning for myself. You know, date nights for myself. You know, I'm still gonna do my every paycheck. I get my food. You know, I'm starting to enjoy shaving because I feel like I got a good clean look and stuff like that. You know, so self-care is taking on a whole new thing for me because I never really took care of myself. Being in the gym, you know, is one of my places. So I'm starting to find out my little niches of what really it feels like to me, and it feels amazing, you know. But I still got that little slight feeling of like selfish. Like I'm like, oh man, you know what I'm saying? Like this could be time I could be doing this with this person or this with this. I haven't seen this person in a long time. But at the same time, I'm starting to be like, fuck it, because I guarantee that person has done something for themselves today, and I haven't done anything for myself today. So why would I feel guilty about that? You know. So it's taking on a whole new meaning, and it's pretty dope, man. I haven't gotten into like the salt baths and stuff like that, but that's kind of what I want to do too, man. Just kind of, you know, really take care of myself, because I'm so good at taking care of other people. You know what I mean? It's just like, well, why aren't you doing that for yourself? And so now, you know, I'm going to take myself out to eat. I'm taking myself on a date. I'm going to get hair. Hopefully I can get some haircuts like you get the haircuts.
Yeah, that's one of them.
You feel me? Like, hopefully I can, you know, dive into that. But, man, I'm starting to love myself, man. And I'm starting to understand the importance of that, because, you know, now I come into the room with a different energy when I feel like I've done something for myself. Now I'm ready, you know, because we all have that gut feeling where it's just like, damn, dude, it's been a week. I ain't done nothing for myself. That's why we take vacations and we do that. That's why we think it's important to schedule out, vacations month in advance when you can do the small things every single day. So I'm just trying to tap in on the little things, that make me happy, so that way when I come, I can be a lot more present and a lot more, enjoying of the situation, instead of always being in a situation trying to flee. Like, okay, when can we get this done? Like, I really want to go to my room and just chill.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm starting at that. So like you said, once you pour into self, now you can pour into others. So now when I'm in my scene, I'm here because I know this is my situation, this is my scene, so I can give this the time because my time's coming. I'm gonna take care of me.
Yep.
Sure.
Real rap. Mine kind of touched everything, not even kind of, it touches exactly what everybody said. But I would definitely have to go back to the self-care, self-love thing. I remember you asked me that question at the house, at the old house. Like, hey, like, do you know what it means to, like, really love yourself, or, you know what I'm saying, like, take that time. Like, and I really had to sit there and think about it. And we talked about this a couple episodes back, too. Like, I had to sit and think about that, like, because it's just like, damn. Like, my mom asked me that question before, too. Like, do you love yourself? Do you spend time with yourself? Like, you always got to do something with somebody. And it's like, damn, that's a fact. Like, again, feeling that void, you know what I'm saying, feeling it with somebody else or something instead of just being quiet, chilling out, and be like you said, take yourself somewhere. But it's so, I'm really figuring it out, like how to spend that time with myself. Go ahead and move, kind of just move solo a little bit. But at the same time, I don't like doing it in a I don't really like it. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's more of a kind of balance thing. Like, I'm a people person. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really me. Until it's like, all right, I don't want to be around. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, in my definition of it, it would just be like grooming myself, or like mentally, I started doing meditation. You know what I'm saying? Mentally giving that, you know what I'm saying, myself that time. But now I know something I will dive back into is just studying the word more. Yeah. The Bible, whether that be I go to church or whether I listen to it, it's peaceful to me, and it puts me in a different mindset. It takes a lot of tension off my mind. It takes me away from doing a lot of the stupid shit that I think I want to do, just being real. But I mean, that's what I would look at it as, what I actually, without going into detailing what I do. Right. Just mentally taking care of yourself, you know what I'm saying, physically taking care of yourself, emotionally taking care of yourself. Like, you got to.
Yeah, and I like the connection that you all made to self-love. Like, now after you all said that, I recognize that, hey, the self-care activities that I prioritize for myself is my way of demonstrating the love that I have for me. And so that's how you can communicate the love you have for yourself, is through prioritizing time for self-care. Another thing that you mentioned, which I wanted to touch on, is when we prioritize that time for self-care, we will experience emotions like guilt. I think it's natural. In my life, I experienced it. Why? Because as we talked about last week with emotions in my story, I was taught how to give. And I wasn't taught how to give to me so I can give to others. I was just taught to give to others. And so I feel like it was just a natural resistance in my life that I would just experience, oh no, like I'm not paying attention to what someone else needs right now, I'm just paying attention to me. It felt selfish. And so what are some of the ways that you all have dealt with that emotion? I know you all have been practicing it more recently, so has there been any ways that you have dealt with that so that you're able to continue to prioritize that time for yourself?
I'm gonna be real, bro. I had to take it to an extreme before I brought it down to like being okay with it. So I just had to start saying, man, fuck that. Like, I'm serious though. Yeah. Like I had to get an extreme version of it. Like, and I had to think that thought process that I just described. Like, I guarantee you done did some shit for yourself, and I guarantee you if you wanted to go do something, you're gonna tell me no. You know what I'm saying? I had a problem saying no. And so I had to look at it from a different lens. Like, okay, you're pouring all this into somebody, you're drained. Now look at you. Like, what have you done for yourself? And then I would get the feedback of, oh, I'll call you back. I got to go do da 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 da. When I needed somebody at that point in time, it wasn't received back. So I had to take it to an extreme. Like, nah, fuck that. Like, I'm gonna take care of me, because at the end of the day, you're not gonna take care of yourself. You're not gonna take care of me. I gotta take care of me. So then, as I brought it down, now I just become more of like, this is my life. This is my life, and you have to. The others who see it have to accept it,
Mhm.
because I am accepting of everyone's life and what they want to do. I've never been the one to just be super butthurt. Oh, you can't do it. Okay, cool. Bet I'll find something else to do. So I've always had that acceptance, and I've always been that that accepting of people. That's why people would always be like, "Dang, Tyler, like you're the most understanding person that I know," because I'm trying to get them to understand when I need it. That you gotta understand too, but people wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm just picking it apart like that and saying, okay, regardless of how you feel, you gotta deal with that feeling. Like, I took care of me, now I'm here. So now it's a different perspective. So now instead of lashing back out and feeling guilty, I'll say, well, I'm here now. So what's up? Like, so it started off extreme, and now I'm able to really just be cool with it, I guess.
Respect.
Yeah.
I really like how you finished that. And as I sit here and think about what we were just talking about, it's funny because go back a few episodes when we talked about people pleasing. We talked, and I kind of talked about like how we place curiosity with compliance, and now we need this affirmation of who we are. We're trying to get people to be happy, be pleased with us, and it's a lot of going into what you were saying with that. As far as, oh well, I don't want these people to feel this kind of way when I make this decision, and we tend to pour so much into everybody else, and we don't realize we have an expectation for people to pour back into us.
Mm-hmm.
What is my favorite thing to say? I don't have to do shit.
You gotta do shit.
And as you start to realize that, like what you were saying, fuck that. If I asked them, they would do exactly what they want to do. And I tell people this all the time. Why are you worried about something that happened with somebody who's at home doing whatever the fuck they want to do right now, living their life, and you sitting over here thinking about it?
Mm-hmm.
Makes no sense whatsoever. But that comes with that, as far as realizing that once we start to take ourselves first and be the best for ourselves, we don't need that out there now. So now we can give, and we don't need anything back because we're already here. But I just like how you came to your conclusion, because I think that's a really valid way. Because sometimes you do have to go to that extreme of, nah, fuck that. Because if it was reversed, they would do it. So why wouldn't I do it right now? And be okay with that. And like we said all the time, think of it like you're in the gym. It's a muscle. So it's going to take time for you to get used to doing something that you haven't been doing for, how old are you?
26.
26 years of your life. You just started doing it, so it takes time to change that to something else.
Mine was definitely along the lines of what both of y'all just said, like the expecting it back because you poured it out. And it was always told, like, hey, why don't you focus on yourself? I am focused on myself, which I thought, you know what I'm saying? But then just like you said, as you sit back and you really reflect and think about how much you pour and think like, yeah, I'm going to receive this back. Like, I'm going to, you know what I'm saying? But and it's not that we do it to receive it back, but just out of a mutual respect, you would think like, I'm pouring all this into this one. I'm going to get it. If I, you know what I'm saying? If it's needed. And I woke up a few times and was just like, you know what I'm saying? Like consciously woke up like, damn, like people, it's really not there. Like I'm really cut from a different cloth. You know what I'm saying? Like the people that I know I choose to stick around and that stick around me now, even like if we don't talk on a daily or whatever, but it's like it's a separation or whatever in between us for a reason. It's not to say that it's like I don't love you or whatever, it's like we're not cool, but it was something, you know what I'm saying, that everybody has to realize like, all right, I'm not getting this, I gotta go find it. And sometimes, majority of the time, we gotta find it within ourselves. That's a real thing.
Yeah, and to flow off of that, like, I mean, for me, like, that's what I had to realize, that I'm whole within myself, and I would be doing myself injustice if I would allow people or factors outside of myself to, you know, stop me from doing something for myself.
You're your biggest obstacle.
Exactly. It literally didn't even make sense, you know, so once I got to thinking like that, it honestly became like second nature, you know. It's like I'm always going to place myself as a priority, you know, no matter what anybody else thinks, you know, and if they have a problem with it, then, you know, it just kind of is what it is, you know, and that may be a bit harsh, but, you know, that kind of is what has gotten me to be in that self-care, self-love mindset that I am, you know, and within that, like, I've become a much better person, a much happier person, you know, grateful for life and everything within it. So, you know, I don't see any point of changing it.
I don't see it as harsh. Like going back to what you said, like if you don't take care of yourself, how can you pour into anybody? Like, and this is something that I got from my mom back when I was younger. I remember me and my mom used to pray going to school, and she would pray for herself. She would literally, I remember it, like she would say, hey, like, Lord, please pray for me, X, Y, Z, you know what I'm saying, whatever, you know what I'm saying, the whole, and then she would go into, and I remember asking one time, like, how come you always, just curiosity as a kid, how come you always say yourself first? Because my mental has to be right. If my mental not right, and my finances not right, and my health not right, how in the hell can I take care of you? Think about that.
Yep.
How can I take care of my daughter if my mental not right? Or if my finances not right? Like, you just got a bum dad. Like, I mean, not trying to shit on anybody out there, but it's just a real life thing. Like, you know what I'm saying, if you do not take care of yourself first, you don't even think about pointing to nobody else. Take that time and sit back and look in the mirror. Again, have a self-check moment. Take care of yourself. There's no possible way you can do anything for anybody if you're losing.
Right. I would say to what you were saying too about it being kind of harsh. I mean, you got to think about it. And this is a question that I ask myself a lot when I'm aware of my emotions doing something, when I'm aware of myself doing anything that has to do with something somebody else did. I always ask myself, what the fuck that got to do with me?
Right.
Instantly. First thing. If somebody's upset about something I said, what they got to do with me? Nothing at all. No, that's literally a personal problem in that whole vicinity right there. Because that person had the option to let it go one ear and not the other. That person has so many options to choose from, but they chose to be salty.
Hey, you know what I see out of that too? So like those connections that we have with those people, I see it also as a gaining respect back for self as well too. Because like think about the people that use that though, that will see that you're pouring this much into them and be like, oh, I can hit Tyler up at any time, and have that phone call and have that freedom to have you that way. So when I started respecting myself more and saying no, of course it was hard at first. Well, why you ain't da-da-da? But then it changed their dynamic. They had to find something to do with that time where it was going to be replaced with Tyler because Tyler was going to do it. So now it changed their way and how they had to do things. And so now we have had a mutual respect because it went from, oh, you just don't want to spend no time and you don't want to do this to, oh, hey. So we're not bickering back and forth anymore because somewhere in that disconnect, we found connection. You know what I'm saying? And now it's life flows a lot better because I'm not forcing it into it. You know, because as we talked about the emotions, you know what I'm saying, that we don't want to encounter, and then you go encounter them, you're putting yourself in physical hell. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to do something that you are physically resisting, but you're doing this based on somebody else. So when I disconnected that and found that reconnection, life started flowing a lot better. The times that we needed to have spent together opened up in different ways. So now we're communicating, acting differently. When it was forced, it would be situations like, oh, I need to chill now. And it'd be like, damn, I had this hour, I wanted to eat, okay, bet. I'll come kick it with you. Now, I didn't eat, I'm going to bed later, I didn't choose, you know what I'm saying? When you could have just ate, and maybe you had them 30 minutes to chill with them after that, and y'all had an even more meaningful time. You know what I'm saying? The universe is going to bring it how it brings it, but I look at it, bro, not as a harsh way, but just gaining respect for yourself so somebody else can respect your space.
Right.
Not only that though, but it just kind of brought something up else, kind of tying into emotions too. It's not any of our job to make another person happy. Like self-care. You have to figure that out yourself. Figure out how to make your own self happy. That other person that you're spending that time with adds to that happiness. It's not I need this person to make me feel better or X, Y, Z. That's a true self-care, self-love moment. Don't get involved with somebody else if you're not happy. Don't put yourself in a situation of working something or doing a job or taking on a task or anything if you're not in the best mental space or your heart ain't in it, your head ain't in it, everything ain't in it. If you're not 110% open and free and you know you got that self-love there, don't do it unless it's going to be something that you're doing that's going to pull you out from where you're at.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
that's the only time.
Yeah, the connection you just made there is recognizing that demonstrate that happiness. So for most people, they don't know how to be happy. They weren't taught how to be happy.
They get it from something.
Exactly. And so if we are able to not try to make them happy, but say, hey, I'm going to be an example to show you how to be happy. Yeah. I'm going to take care of myself, and I'm going to show you the habits that I practice, and I'm going to tell you how I'm feeling and let you know, hey, you can do it too. that is a more sustainable way of truly spreading happiness to the people that we want to spread happiness to.
Like in an instance, a dude, my kitchen manager at my restaurant, he was like, damn. I was like, damn, I can't believe 2021 almost here. He said, hell yeah, 2020 was shitty. I said, damn, was it? I had to sit back and think. And I was like, shit, no, it wasn't. He said, what you mean, COVID? I'm like, man, I got 3 promotions this year.
Right.
I'm a business that I've been working on for the longest is fully about to like openly launch. Like my brother in a different situation. We done upgraded 2 different cribs. Like, how was this year? Like, I got a whole podcast I'm doing with some fellas that's really helping me to. This year was great.
Right.
I'm sorry for the people that got COVID, you know what I'm saying? But, you know what I'm saying? It's just perception. You gotta look at it different.
Facts. Well, now that we've talked about self-care, our perspective on it, I want to know what we do. So what are some things that we do to communicate that love we have for ourselves and demonstrating self-care?
Oh, Japanese steakhouse, boy.
Okay.
I'm telling you,
Okay.
man. Hey, listen, I don't know what it does to me, but like, so when I was, just a small tidbit on it. As growing up, I lived in 13 different states, 2 different countries. But every state that we went to, we would find a Japanese steakhouse. Like, that's me and my dad's thing. Like, it would be to the point, like, every Japanese steakhouse we went to, they know my dad, my sister, they know me. Like, we walk in there and be like, oh, where Dad been at? I'm like, oh, he ain't been. I'm here. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I do that, man. I'm starting to foam roll. I'm starting to come in the gym by myself a lot more, too, because I'm in zone. Like, I'm in it, and it feels great. Those are some of the, I sage the crib, like, I make my bed. Like, all those things just give me, like, this warm feeling. I'm like, dope. Like, this feels good, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I do now, but I'm also going to start implementing a couple more other things, like a couple more male grooming techniques and stuff like that. But, yeah, man, that Japanese steakhouse is everything for me, dog. For real.
I honestly like to, I like to break it down in mind, body, spirit, right? So, like, with my mind, I like to read, gaining knowledge. For my body, whether that's working out, whether that's grooming myself. And then for spirit, it's just making sure that the things that I'm constantly seeing on a daily basis are, like, helping me within my spirituality, and helping me grow. Because when it comes to, spirituality, like, that has a huge amount to do with self-love,
Absolutely.
And the deeper that I've been able to get into my spirituality, the more I've been able to really thrive on self-love. So, just really kind of trying to break it down in those 3 layers and just focus on it like that.
Yeah, respect. Okay. Yeah, that's mine. Was when I started, it was organized similarly. It was the activities I could practice for my mental health, physical health, and emotional health to start that would communicate that love. And I know now for my mental health, I focus on sleep. So sleep is huge because I know that if I'm not getting an adequate amount of sleep, my body is not recovering overnight, and I'm not even able to operate at a high level mentally the next day. So I use Whoop, shout out to them. That is what I use to help keep me accountable as it pertains to getting high quality sleep on a consistent basis. For my physical health, of course, exercise. I know how important that is. So I make sure that I exercise. I make sure that, honestly, in addition to the movement that I do, just anything I consume. I'm just really intentional about what I am consuming, whether that be music, whether that be podcasts, audiobooks, read anything I read, the food I eat, making sure I drink water, anything I'm putting in my body, I just want to be mindful of it. That's a way that I communicate it. And then spiritually, so recognizing that if I am able to maintain mindfulness in any given moment, I'm going to be able to be the best version of me in that moment that I can be. So practicing mindfulness on a consistent basis and looking for ways to implement mindfulness more often. That's kind of just how I think about life. Like, how can I be more mindful today? And what activities that I do can I add more mindfulness to it? Because I know it adds up over time. So the more I implement it, the more effectively I'll be able to maintain mindfulness in the moment. So those are a few of the habits that I practice to show myself that I love me.
Well, what I do is I believe in me. Like, I'm my own guru. I ask myself all the questions that I want answers to. Anything that I could ever need to be done, have, feel, whatever, it's all right here. and I do my best to stay aware of living within that mindset every day, all day. Now, there are times where I am aware that I'm not living like that, and so I love myself right back into that space. And that's literally what I do, because by doing that, I've been able to shut out a lot of things that would clutter my own thoughts. Like I explained to you guys about my thought on time travel. Like, there's so many things that I've realized that I'm interested in, I like to do, that I think about, that when I would not take my time or not believe in me, I would need to talk to someone else outside of me about it, for them to be like, oh yeah, I get that, that makes sense, for me to feel reinforced about the things that I think, do, say, whatever it is. And so by saying that I believe in me, that I'm my own guru, that everything that I'm here, now puts me in a position to be everything that I need to be for myself, because I get to create it however I see fit.
It's a real deal. Real deal. Self-care for me. I just did it today. I want to get my hair cut, got my hair done. That's probably one of the most relaxing things ever, is to go get your hair cut. But I don't know. But no. And at this point now too, it's like when I go to the hair salon and I get my hair wash, and the lady in there scrubbing the shit out of me. Ladies, I know what y'all talking about. It feels amazing. But nah, just to come out, you know what I'm saying, you feeling like yourself. Like I had said it on my Instagram earlier, at LBO_Vic. No, like I was like, yeah, like I'm feeling like myself. I can get on here and I can pop my shit now. You feel me? Like, you feel different when you look at how you want to look. You know what I'm saying? It's all right, cool. Like, I'm about to go eat Japanese steakhouse, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is my next move. Like, I want some good food. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a smoker. Like, I like to relax, so I'm gonna make sure I grade A cannabis. Like, that's just, I know. All right, cool. This is just what I do. You know what I'm saying? So it's outside of that, I'm like, yeah, like I gotta get back in the gym. I hurt my hand and I stepped off for a week and a half, but I mean, I'm coming back to it. So I mean, working out, and besides the listening to church or in meditation, like that's where I'm at now. Like I'm finding my niches, and I feel like just ultimately do what you love. I feel like that ultimately at the end of the day, like find something that y'all really love to do. For me, that's clothes. For me, that's music. You know what I'm saying? Like I gotta do something with it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm cool. Like that will literally seal off my life, and I'll just be like, all right, cool. Like I got music, I got clothes, I got some food. All right, cool. I got my haircut, but I got some smoke. My day's good.
Respect.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, no, I like that though. Just keep it simple. Find something you love and prioritize time to do it. Bye.
Heard.
Well, we know what you're going to get from Japanese Steakhouse.
Oh yeah.
So for you all, thank you all for tuning in this long. So now we are going to offer up some tips, some words of encouragement, whatever we feel will add value to your lives. Now, so go ahead, Nick. We'll start with you.
I mean, you don't have to do shit.
Period.
I love him.
You ain't gotta do shit. What are you talking about? You gotta do shit.
But because of that, you now have the awareness to now create whatever it is your life is gonna be. So it sounds tight and it feels good to like, yeah, I don't have to do shit. But at the same time, now you're accountable for exactly how your life looks.
Don't not do shit and be a bomb. Just saying.
Right.
It's for real.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate your authenticity.
Always.
In that delivery, of course. So, mine is actually a quote to just keep at the forefront of your mind as it pertains to self-care, the topic for today. So, we don't always want to do what we get to do each day, but when we prioritize time for self-care, we always get to do what we want to do each day. So think about it like that. You might be in a situation where you're working, you have a whole chunk of your day where you can't necessarily control what is going on in that chunk, but just know that there is another chunk of the day that you have control over how you spend your time. So when you prioritize time for yourself, you will always get to do what you want to do on a daily basis. So keep that in mind.
Is that original?
Yeah.
No, that's really real. I did that today. I left work early so I can go get my shit.
Boss.
Really had to. It's the boss move.
So for me, just to kind of reinforce what Nick said, just be unapologetically you at all times. Whatever's meant for you, whoever's meant to be in your life will attract. So don't ever try to lower your standard or put a mask on and be someone else because of worrying what others will think.
Put a mask on, it's COVID.
Just not over it. No.
Just not over. Just not over. Okay. Not even.
See,
Y'all remember that first tip.
You don't have to do shit.
All right. What I would say is always remember, man, that at the end of the day, I feel like we're selfish creatures. So remember that somebody's always going to do something for themselves regardless. So don't feel that guilt, you know. Take that time for yourself. If you feel that guilt, you know, still go take that time for yourself. Because as we stated, you know, the building it like in the gym, that muscle. You got to keep building that muscle. But always remember, somebody's going to do something for themselves regardless before they come to you. And then they're coming to you because now they've decided for themselves that you are the person to get that done. You know, so don't be afraid. Don't feel guilty. It's going to feel weird for a while, especially if you're like some of us here where, you know, you are so well at taking care of other people. But if you're not taking that time for yourself, please just harness that guilt, accept it, and start to produce habits for yourself. And then you'll start to see everything else around you change, as I have myself. So don't be afraid to be guilty. Just take that time because you deserve it. Everybody else is going to do it for themselves as well too. So just keep that mentality.
Fact.
Man, you know, mine kind of goes right along with Nick. You don't gotta do shit. No, I'm just the type of person, like, I really don't give a fuck about the next person's feelings. I'm gonna be real.
Straight up.
I don't. Like, and a lot of people that personally know me, I think they'll tell y'all that. Like, he will make his move, he'll say what he gotta say, and then he'll think about it later. I thought about it right then, and I just felt like that was the best way to get my point across, so I did it. If I did it any other way, I wouldn't be me. You don't have to do shit. Find your small thing that you want to do that really makes you happy, and go for it. Self-care.
Self-care.